Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to be in the backyard. I have got 3 tasks on my to-do list today. 1, we're going to be planting some brand new butterfly bushes. Y'all, as soon as I saw these, I stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, what is this? I love it. So, tell you more about that in a minute. So we're going to plant some butterfly bushes. 2, it is September here in North Carolina. This is the perfect time to move plants that maybe are not working wherever they are. So that's what we're going to do here. We have got some perennials that are getting kind of overgrown by the other shrubs. So we're going to just move them a little bit. So we're going to talk about why you want to move your perennials now, or your shrubs, or anything that you want to be moving, why the fall is a great time to do that. And then last, it's probably my least favorite thing to do, but I have got an infestation of white flies on my gardenias and my sugar shack button bush. So I have got to address that because the plants are struggling. I've tried other natural resources, ways to do it. It's not working, so we're gonna pull out the big guns today. So those are the 3 things we have to do. And then of course, thrown in there, as we always do as gardeners, there's weeding to be done. So first things first, let's talk about these butterfly bushes, because honestly, this might be about the easiest thing to do. So we're gonna go ahead and do that first, right? And it's the fun thing, because we get to plant new plants and add them to the garden. So just to kind of give you a frame of reference for those of you that maybe don't remember where we are, but this is the backyard, right? So we're in the backyard. We have these 2 island beds here, and this is where we're going to be working. See, look at that lovely crop of weeds. Isn't it just lovely? I tell you, you go away for a couple of days and you come back and the weeds are going crazy. But where we're going to be focusing on today is this flower bed. And I have the butterfly candy buddleia. When Jerry and I were in Ohio at Cultivate, we were walking the show floor and I was walking by the butterfly candy display, and the fragrance stopped me dead in my tracks. And it was actually this one. This is Little Coconut. There are 5 in the butterfly candy series. These are going to be petite, 2 to 3 feet tall and wide butterfly bushes. They have the most lovely fragrance. This Little Coconut was so fragrant, literally, y'all, it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I was like, what is that? So we are going to be adding Little Coconut to the garden today, and I have got 3 of them here. So what the idea is because this flower bed, of course, is hot, it's dry. We do have irrigation on here, but still it is an intense flower bed. And you can see, now y'all, just give her some grace. We've got the Pugster amethyst right here that is covered in butterflies and blooms. Yes, she looks rough, and that is my fault, not her fault, because when I had all my annuals here, they were growing up into the butterfly bush all summer, and so no sun got up in there. I did trim her earlier, and look, she is flushing out new growth. So I am going to not have as many annuals, especially tall annuals in here, so that it can really fill out. Next year she'll look better, but y'all, there's grace in gardening, and she will be just fine. So we have the Pugster amethyst, and I want to kind of fill in doing more shrubs, more perennials, because you know, we have so many flower beds here. And while I adore annuals are amazing and they're beautiful, we're just going to kind of start to reduce some of them, just because it is such an intense chore to do with all of the annuals and all the flower beds. And the butterflies this time of year go nuts over these butterfly bushes. And of course, butterfly bushes, they're deer resistant, they're drought tolerant, they thrive on neglect. Clearly, you know, you got Pugster over here. So adding these butterfly candies is going to be so much fun. So just to give you a little preview, I'm trying to keep it realistic today. We're not going to do it today, but because we have these 2 flower beds here that while they're not identical twins, I like them to be cohesive with one another. So we're going to have this collection of butterfly bushes here, and then in the next day or so, I am going to be adding 2 more of the Little Coconuts here, and then Little Lavender. And little lavender will have the same kind of coloring as that pugster amethyst. So we will be able to have on the corners of these two flower beds, those similar plants, that similar look to bring cohesiveness to these two flower beds. So that is what we're going to do. As you probably can see, we have got some weeds in here because once I pulled out the annuals, the weeds went crazy. And so I'm just gonna come through here, pluck those out, and then get a little coconut in the ground. So of course, if I am planting, what do I have? I have my power planter auger. So I've got the Jenny's Edition. This is the 7-inch because those are 2 gallons. So I can just do a little wiggle wiggle. The 7-inch was on the auger and on the drill. And so I was like, you know, I just don't feel like switching out to the 9-inch. So the 7-inch will work great for that 2 gallons. We've got that. We've got biotone that's hanging out back there. And then I'll probably be kicking up some soil. So I've got some of my pine bark fines to kind of top dress both the butterfly bushes and then when we move the perennials. So your butterfly bushes, when you're planting butterfly bushes, they hate to have wet feet, okay? And we are in North Carolina in the southeast. The winters tend to be quite wet. And so I saw something and they're predicting us to have a wet winter. Now, it seems like we always have a wet winter. So when you're planting your butterfly bushes, make sure they're in a spot that is well draining, full sun, a minimum of 6 hours, and do not plant them too deep. You actually want the root ball, when you have the clay soil like I do, or if it's going to be wet winters, you want to plant them high. You want to plant them so that the root ball is sticking up about 1 inch or 2 above the ground. They hate to be wet. If you lose your butterfly bushes in the winter, most likely it's because they drowned and they're too wet. So lift them up. They really don't even like compost, which is great. So the clay, yucky, nasty soil, it's perfect for them. Once they are established, they are super hardy. But I have to tell you, keep them dry. They do not like wet feet. That's the fastest way to kill a butterfly bush, is to give it too much water. So we're gonna get to digging and then we're gonna move some perennials. When you have the right tools like the power planter auger, man, it makes the job so much easier. Got those 3 little coconuts in the ground. Now, let's talk about why did you put them so close together, Jenny, when they're going to get 2 to 3 feet tall and wide? And then I'm going to show you how high I raised them up. Yes, I ignored minimum spacing and I put them looking at root ball to root ball about probably 1 foot apart from one another. I want this to look like one whole mass of the butterfly bush. You can space these out as far as you want to, but I really want them to fill in from the Summerific Lilac Crush up to my ginkgo, up to the Pugster Amethyst surrounding the birdhouse. And so I put them in there. They are going to love it. The butterflies are going to find it here in just a minute. So using the auger, of course, get that hole drilled and put your biotone in. But if you can see right here how much I have the root ball sticking up. This bed is well draining because it is on a slope, but you just want to make sure that the root ball is up and not sunk down. Certainly do not cover your root ball with any kind of soil or mulch. Let that baby breathe and they will be very happy and give us loads of blooms. And of course, the butterflies will be very happy too. So a huge thank you to our friends at Butterfly Candy for sending us all of the varieties are out right now. And these butterfly bushes are so fantastic. We actually are growing them. So we have them available on the website all 5 colors as a pre-order because we are growing them in their quart-size containers right now. They should be ready in about 3 to 5 weeks, maybe sooner. So they are available, like I said, all 5 colors. You've got the little coconut, little lavender, little taffy, little raspberry, and little grape. So there are 5 colors. We have them all available as a pre-order. There is a limited number for the fall, right? Because we're going into winter and you want to get the butterfly bushes in while it's still warm. We've got plenty of time, but this isn't something that you really probably don't want to be planting, say like in January, right? So we have a limited number for the fall inventory, and then come next spring, summer, we'll be well stocked and have plenty of those available. So you can head over to the website. I will have everything linked for you so you can check out if you're interested in these butterfly candies. Y'all, I'm telling you, there truly is. They live up to their name. They got here while Jerry and I were on our trip out west. And so our folks, you know, unboxed them for us and everything graciously and put them in the greenhouse. Jerry went to go check on them. Y'all, there was a monarch. She was already loving these butterfly candies. He did not have his phone, so he drove back to the house, then drove back up there. He accidentally scared her off. She came back and was still feasting. I think it was the little grape that she was on. So butterflies, monarchs definitely love these plants, and they smell delicious, hence their name. So check those out. Next, okay, let's move perennials. So when I planted this bed a couple of years ago, right, things start filling in. And y'all, if you think that you're never gonna move a plant, then you're gonna be upset because you're going to move plants. Gardeners move plants. And so let's just start with the obvious. Now, right here in the center, this lovely, weird shrub, this is a hairy lauder walking stick. Now, hairy lauder does not really have any kind of like summer interest. It's just a green bush. Let's just be honest. However, it has massive winter interest because this is a contorted shrub. And you can see that it has just these gnarly, twisted, curly branches to it. I will say, Japanese beetles do love it. I did not treat it, so hence why the foliage looks so bad. But you know what? In a couple of weeks, when we have a frost and a freeze, this is all going to get taken off, so it's fine. The plant, trust me, is totally fine. So you get this contortness. I don't know how you say that. It is very contorted. And clearly, hairy lauder loves this spot because it is every bit of close to 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide. It was not this big when I put it in, and it loves this spot, and so we've got to move some perennials. So what we have is we have a daylily here that she is starting to get covered up, right? So Harry he's growing, right? So we're gonna take this daylily and then we're gonna move it up and we're gonna move it to about right here. So let her get that full sun. It is a short daylily. I don't remember exactly. These are all from a friend of mine, Miss Wanda and Mr. Jim, from their yard. And so we're gonna take this one, it is a shorty, and we're gonna kind of move it to about right here. So she has plenty of room to grow. Then we have an Amsonia right here. Now I had cut it back. This is the Amsonia storm cloud, I want to say. And so what we're going to do is, because obviously we're getting too close, so we're going to take it and just move it up. So we're going to come to somewhere, I think in here, or it could be over here. Time will tell where we're going to put it. I may actually put it a little bit over here because I think I'm going to keep this area for my annuals. Then we have this is the ultraviolet phlox. Again, I had cut her down, so you can see there's 2 little nubbies that are coming back. We're gonna dig it up and we're gonna push her back towards the back, closer to the peony, because this ultraviolet phlox is tall. It's a paniculata phlox and it gets tall. So we're gonna move it back kind of in front of the peony, because by the time this one is blooming, my peony is done, and vice versa. Peonies bloom first and then the phlox will. So that'll be a nice little transition. That way, I will have this whole entire area right up here and up into the front of hairy lauder that I can put my annuals. So that will give me a nice spot for annuals. Then, y'all, bless their hearts right here. Okay, might be kind of hard to see, but I have got 3 clumps, 1, 2, and then there's a third. These are the Hello Yellow Blackberry Lilies. And these are such a fun little lily, and they are just the coolest things. Clearly, Harry is taking over. Between Harry and then the peonies loving their life, these guys have got to come out. So we're gonna pop them out of the ground, and then they are going to come over here on the other side of Harry. Gonna go in, this is the Emily Bronte rose that I moved back in the spring, and so I have this nice open spot right here. Now the Hello Yellow Blackberry Lilies, they're really fun because they'll get to be about 18 to 24 inches tall, and they have rhizomes, and if they're happy, they will spread. Now my clumps have gotten bigger, but I wouldn't say that they're like an invasive, they're not going crazy. So I'm gonna pull them out and fill in this area because we've got Harry, we've got Emily, we got all the people here. Harry, Emily, and then we have a blueberry bush, right? So they can fill in this corner behind the unique stone pot right here. And so that is what we're going to do. So I actually have a shovel with me because we're going to dig these babies up and then put them in the ground. Now, why do we want to transplant in the fall? Well, for us in the South, transplanting, this is a great time to do it. One, you can see where the plant is, right? Because I had cut the Amsonia and the phlox back, but they were pushing out new growth, and so I now know where my root system is. I'm digging that up. Get as much of the root system as you possibly can. Come back out far from the plant and start lifting your shovel and go all the way around. Once your root ball gets lifted, get all those roots that you possibly can. Have your hole ready. I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes with that auger, have the biotone in there, and transplant. So the temperatures are beginning to get cooler. Typically we're getting more rain, although we're not getting any rain right now. So over the winter here in the South, our winters are so relatively mild compared to other parts of the country, is that those root systems are really going to get nice and established because you're going to have transplant shock. No matter how much of the root system you get, you're going to have some transplant shock. So do it in those cooler temperatures where you get a little bit more frequent rain, the roots can get established, the foliage is going to start going dormant anyway just because of the season, and all that energy goes into the roots. Come next spring, next summer, these plants are going to be happy and they're not even going to know they've been moved, and they're going to actually flourish better because they're not getting covered up by the other plants. So much root system as you can, nice good fluffy hole with your auger, use your biotone, there you go. This soil has been amended with compost over the past couple of years, so I don't have compost or the ultra outdoor planting mix with me. I don't need it. However, if you've got really no organic matter in your soil, this would be a great time to add that land and seed, the ultra outdoor planting mix, whatever kind of compost that you love, use that. So that is what we're going to do. My friends, we have got the perennials moved, and I couldn't help myself. I had to do a little bit of pruning in here as well. Relatively super simple. The only quote setback was that I found an irrigation line and it was rubbing right up against the auger, and so the auger sliced it. So not that big of a deal because we have drip lines in here. So I keep an irrigation kit in my John Deere, and so I was able to grab a coupler, so I just cut the line and then just put them back together. So easy fix, but I don't know, you know, just one of those things. I found all the other ones before I used the power planter, but the one found that line for me. So all right, what I did, of course, I think things probably look a little differently. Go ahead and you can see maybe those little green leaves. Those are not weeds, those are the phlox. What I pruned back was my peonies. I'll go ahead and show you because I didn't prune them all back. So I'll show you some of the peonies that are still standing, but going in there and just cleaning those up so you can just cut them straight to the ground. Do not have to be meticulous. Just literally, you can see the cuts right there. Just cut them to the ground, and I leave my peony supports up year round, so that way I know where they are. And because even the stems will completely die back down to the ground, and when we're in here mulching or doing something else, then I know exactly where those peonies are, and so I don't put too much mulch or compost on top of them. Had some Monarda back here, cleaned that up. There's still some back there, but I was able to get this up. And then the forsythia, this is show off. I have two show offs in here, and oh my gosh, y'all, beautiful beast. So it's this dark green thing right here. And y'all, I do prune it every spring, but it is just, whoo, she's gorgeous. Like, it's gonna be stunning this spring because it'll be covered in yellow flowers. But she was getting a little aggressive, so I did trim her back just a little bit. I know that I'm sacrificing some flowers, but at this point, I really don't care. So I just cleaned it up right in here. The peonies were down here, and then you can kind of see the back end here where the hello yellow blackberry lilies are. They, of course, don't have a huge root system because they are those rhizomes, and they really just kind of lift it up. But they're called blackberry lilies because these are the old seed heads. You can see those. That's where the flowers were. Obviously, hello yellow is a bright, sweet yellow flower. But these seed pods will turn into like blackberries. So it looks like a blackberry, like an edible blackberry. Obviously, we're not going to go eat these. The birds may. We're not. And then let's just kind of tiptoe out so you can see. Here we have the daylily, and then the Amsonia right there. So coming on around gives you a little bit of a different perspective right there on how everything looks, kind of surrounding the unique stone urn. And then those blackberry lilies can spread as they like, but look at those grasses. Remember, we planted these new Schizocuriums from Proven Winners, what was that, 2 weeks ago? I mean, they are loving life. I literally have not touched them since we planted them. So love how they are looking right there. Beautiful, beautiful. And then I have that nice open space here from the Amsonia all the way around to Little Coconut that I can put my annuals in this coming spring. All right, white flies. So white flies they're just a nuisance. And I typically get them on my gardenias. Traditionally are the ones that will get them. And my gardenias right here, kind of close to the steps, right? The path, they've had them off and on for the past couple of years, but the plants have been able to handle it fine. I could do some organic solutions on them. So like you can use insecticidal soap or neem oil or something like that, but you would have to really get in there. They tend to stay on the underside of the leaf, but you know you have white flies if the camera will pick it up, but they're literally, let's see, can you see all they're literally white flies, and they're little specks, so they're little exoskeletons, and actually those are ones that are alive. So they're little tiny, they look like little white flecks, but the big thing is when you go in there, you can see them and they just fly around. Another telltale sign is that, of course, gardenias are supposed to be beautiful, bright green. And you can see some of these leaves are almost nearly black. So that is from the work of the white flies. It's called honeydew. So because they actually come in here and suck on the leaves. Now you have natural predators, right? So your natural predators would be your ladybugs, your parasitic wasp, lacewings, all those kinds of things are good ones to naturally take care of it. Well, clearly I've got an infestation that my natural predators cannot take care of, because hence why they look so bad. So not only does my gardenias, and this is the worst gardenia and it's kind of spreading that way, but then you come straight across the path right here. So we have this gardenia, and then we have Sugar Shack buttonbush. Y'all, this is so gross. Look. And this has just happened. Now their leaves, again, not supposed to be this black. They are supposed to be bright green. So what I am going to do, one, with my Sugar Shack, because Sugar Shack will bloom on new growth. So my gardenias bloom on old growth. So my Sugar Shack, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go ahead and trim it and get some of this, the weight off, and get some of these bugs off of the plant, and then obviously dispose of the foliage here. So I'm gonna trim it back some. I'm not gonna touch my gardenias because they bloom on old growth. So if I cut them right now, then I'm cutting off my flowers for next year. Do not want to do that. So then we're going to go ahead and treat them with a systemic drench. So this is the same systemic drench that I use with for the Japanese beetles. This is the Fertilome Tree and Shrub Drench. Now, you can do what is best for your garden. When I have an infestation this bad and the natural remedies have not been able to knock it out, then I'm going to the systemic. So what happens is you read your directions, always follow the directions on it. And so these shrubs are about 3 feet tall. So for a shrub that's 3 feet tall, you use 9 fluid ounces per 1 gallon of water. So roughly I have, let's say, 4 shrubs, right? And so, so 4 times 9 is 36. This is a 32 ounce container. So I'm just gonna, not even gonna measure it. I'm just gonna pour the whole thing into my 5-gallon bucket and fill it up with water. And then you pour it around the base of the shrub. The shrub soaks it up in through the roots, and so it's a natural protectant. So anything that chews on the plant, so anything that's chewing, so there's a whole list, but the main things that we use them for are the Japanese beetles, aphids if you want to, white flies. This is actually the first time I've ever had to treat anything for white flies, but it's when they're that black and have all that honeydew on them, it's time to do that. So then, and this will last for 1 calendar year, so for 12 months. So that will be good. So hopefully I can knock them out now, and then they won't come back next year. Fingers crossed, we'll see. So that is what I'm gonna do, and then we're gonna be done for the day. All right, guys, so we got the shrubs. They are treated, and Sugar Shack, man, she got a really nice prune. Again, Sugar Shack buttonbush blooms on new growth, so it is totally fine that I really gave her a really hard prune right now, and she is a vigorous grower. She loves being in this spot. So I have no doubt that this baby will be just fine. Got her treated, and yeah, she took a hit and she went down kind of fast. Because I've known that the gardenias have had the white flies. They've just kind of recently gotten out of really control. But the Sugar Shack, man, she took a hit pretty fast. So it'll be good to get her treated, get her pruned back, and she will bounce back just fine. And then of course the gardenias are treated as well. So it has been a good day here in the backyard garden. Got a lot of good stuff done, and yeah, tomorrow is a new day in the garden. So I will see you again tomorrow. Y'all have an amazing day. See you next time, friends. Bye.